Work and power. Let's first focus on what we mean when we talk about work in physics. To define work, we would say that it is a force applied over a distance. And the units that we use for work are joules. Now, when we go to calculate work done, we're going to use our work equation. Our work equation is W equals F times D, where our W stands for work, and the units are joules, so we're going to abbreviate that with a J. The F stands for the force, and the units for force are newtons. And the D stands for distance in meters. So if we take our force times our distance, we're taking newtons times meters, and a newton meter we call a joule. Now we need to consider when forces do not do work. So if we look up at our equation, work equals force times distance, if we apply a force, but the object doesn't move, our distance would equal 0 meters, and our work would be 0. So no work is done on an object or by an object if a force is applied, but nothing moves. Now let's focus on power. In physics, when we talk about power, we're dealing with a rate of work. And the units that we're going to use for power are watts. Now our equation for power is P equals W over T, where P, and this time it's a capital P, remember lowercase p was for momentum, P equals our power, and the units we're going to use for power are watts. The W is the work done on or by an object, and our units are in joules. And T stands for time in seconds. So when we talk about power, power is the work done in a particular period of time. Now, if we look at a number and it tells us that we've got 24W, that W is not for work, it's the unit watts that goes along with power. Now, sometimes we may see power discussed in terms of units we use in the United States. And a unit that's commonly used in the United States is called a horsepower. Now, that's not a metric unit for power, which is a watt. So we need to know the relationship between horsepowers and watts. So 1 horsepower equals 746 watts. So if we're given power in watts, we can calculate the horsepower. And if we're given the horsepower, we can calculate the watts. And we would do that just by knowing what the relationship is between horsepower and watts, and knowing how to do our unit conversions or factor labeling. Now, with both our equation for work and our equation for power, we may need to do our algebra manipulation to solve for other variables in those equations.